In the second submodule, we will detail the history of peer review process, how it forms in the early days. Understanding how peer review was first initiated will help us to rationalize the whole process. In fact, the history of manuscript peer review seems to gradually evolve from the earliest manuscript by Hippocrates and Aristotle more than 2,300 years ago. Back then, no peer review on written documents were practiced, but the record keeping of knowledge in the form of writing seems to withhold the test of time up till now. The first recorded practice of peer review may have been held by a Middle Easterner several hundred years later. Ishaq bin al-Yahrawi from Syria documented in his book Ethics of the Physician that any medical notes on a patient written by a doctor must be replicated in writing and reviewed by a local council of physicians. This practice will allow such council to judge and decide whether a treatment on patients are duly appropriate. And in the case of death, these notes will be presented for judgment. Only after 700 years later in 1620, Francis Bacon, in his book Novum Organum Scientiarum, the New Instrument of Science, put forth the idea that societies should be formed to discuss current updates in science. Now, this is what we call later as conferences. Then the first movement on a dedicated journal was initiated several years later by the Royal Society of London. With that, the first journal in the world, Philosophical Transactions, was born on 1665, and it is still in existence today. A number of prominent researchers in the world such as Newton, Hooke, Faraday, and Darwin have had publications in this journal, suggesting its influence in scientific community. At its first inception, the review process was done solely by the editor himself, Henry Oldenburg, or other colleagues of his, if available. The actual peer review process for this journal starts in 1731. Back then, as we would imagine, most reviewing process would be done through letters and physical mails. Only after 200 years later, the inception of internet has allowed quicker reviewing process with wider coverage of reviewers. Most journal was based on subscription back then. This is where researchers and even institutions pay for access to any particular journal of interest. In 2001, PLOS, Public Library of Science, launched the first full open access journal, allowing articles to be paid by their own authors to be disseminated to all regions in the world. In this recent year, a global effort named Plan S has been initiated to make all papers available online through open access type publication. We will detail this later on.